All right, let's try that again. You folks hear it now? I don't know what type of trash was going on there. I just basically turned the mic on and off, the level 1 start, restart for all computers. So on my end, the mic seems to be working. I got a quick way to check that, and it's called, go visit the YouTube channel. And if I hear sound coming off, it should be working. Oh, there it is. Okay. So cool thing, OBS Studio, when I navigate away from the window, the stupid thing apparently hides the chat. Well, what do you expect for free, man? Like, the price was right. Glitchy video, no sound. Yeah, so if the thing was, like, muted, which clearly it was, first things first, I'm getting some error message from YouTube that it's not getting video in proper form for some odd reason, even though I've changed no settings since the last time we did this. On my end, I've already checked my stream bit rate. I've checked my internet connection. Everything is roasty toasty. So I just think that our friends over at YouTube are throttling me just to be jerks about it. Other thing I was saying is, hey, Texas Tim 2.0 over here. I'm dressed up in my Texas finery. Figure I'd dress up a little special for you all tonight. I actually have had this shirt for probably about 3 years now. I've just never worn it. And I was like, you know, it'd be a really cool thing. Go ahead and wear the stupid thing tonight. And then this is my Christmas present to myself when I got myself a nice little straw hat for fitting in with the other Texans, because if they find out hashtag Florida man is walking around in Texas, they may try to go ahead and get me to do some stupid Florida antics, and of course I'm going to oblige them. All right. So Madge Dragon, welcome back. You were here last time. Spiritual Gemini, you were as well. Nice to see you folks dialing back in. Nice to see that I'm keeping you entertained. I had a really cool thing happen the other day. I was talking to some students over at Mid-America College of Funeral Service over in Louisville. Another fine educational institution. I mean, just really cool bunch of people that work there. And so I was talking to the students, and so when I dial in and I open up my camera, right, someone like dives in, is like, "Oh my God, Professor Finn!" And I'm like, "Oh well, I guess my reputation precedes me." So that was really cool to get like some name brand clout. As soon as I logged in, people recognized who I was. They're still not asking for autographs at airports, so I have some work to do on my reputation. But you know, I'll take what I can get. So here's a fun one. I'm going to see. So the one thing I did that may be causing the drama is I did update to the newest edition of OBS, and like a dumbass, I didn't go through and check to make sure everything was working. So when I tried using my share screen, apparently somehow now the monitors got disconnected, so that's why I was 2 minutes late getting on the streams. I realized that, hey, that's a black screen and it shouldn't be. So I had to fix it. So let's dive into this article I found over at over from Florida. Mad says, of course, it's in my Friday plans. I'll try and catch the stream at least for a few minutes. Hell yeah, dude. Sweet. Appreciate that. So Florida revokes controversial Orlando funeral home's license. So let's talk a little bit about this. You know, this just tickled me when I saw it. One, I can tell you that, sarcastically speaking, there is a better likelihood, okay? There's a better likelihood of, say, one of the biblical plagues, and my money's, now that I'm in Texas, my money's going to be on the locusts, that happening than Florida revoking someone's license. Like, I love the people at the Division. I know them. They're great people. They work hard. The inspectors work hard. But getting to, like, pull someone's license is an act of God. And apparently someone poked the bear hard enough that that they did it. So the Florida Board of Funeral, Cemetery, and Consumer Services, I'm really proud that the newspaper at least got the name of the division right. So there is a board, which is the governing board that consists of people that are appointed by the governor, and then there is the Division of Funeral Cemetery Consumer Services, who is the agency that governs all the licenses in the state of Florida. So when you're trying to pull someone's license, it has to go before the board, basically as disciplinary action, and the board has to vote to pull the license. So what do we have here? After a year-long investigation, and that's usually, in fact, if it's only a year, that's pretty good, because usually stuff like this drags on for a while. Celebrations of Life Mortuary and Cremation Services located on Clarkona Ocoee Road, and it's allowed its owner, Tecavias Bird, if I screwed up your name, I am sorry, to act as a funeral director and deal directly with families despite Bird lacking the appropriate license. So this is something that is actually quite common in Florida, where someone starts a funeral home, they get the lease going, they start it all, because there is no law against someone owning a funeral home that is unlicensed in the state of Florida. Anyone can start the business. It's just that when you start the business, you have to have someone with a license to be your funeral director in charge. Now, this is a simplification. It depends on what type of things you do there, is what type of licensee you have. But under the current law, basically, you're either a funeral director only or you're a combination funeral director embalmer. And then you can be in charge of a facility in the state of Florida. So in this case, an owner starts a business, hires someone. State law requires that to be a full-time employee, because a couple of years ago, there were these issues with you basically starting a business, throwing someone's name on the front, and then they come in to meet with the family, wink, wink, when, that time arrives. But more often than not, someone at the business would go ahead and meet with the family, get all the paperwork, and then they would just email it, scan it or something, and people would pencil whip it so that the proper licensee's name appears on all the proper documentation, such as the statement of goods and services and stuff like that. So, owner was playing that game, apparently. I guess that's factual at this point, because the state found enough impropriety to happen that they pulled the license of the business. Also failed to properly cremate a body. Have you noticed something, folks? People run shady funeral homes. They fail to do things right, and then, bam. State has been investigating the facility since at least November, when WFTV witnessed Bird demanding thousands of dollars in payment in order to release a body to a rival funeral home at the family's request. So now, there's a fun one. Okay, so first and foremost, in the United States, you are not allowed to hold a body for ransom. That means if you have to, if you're losing the call, mortuary science students take note. This is the law basically in all of the states. You have to release it. They get to take their body. You get to pursue a collections claim, they still owe you for the services that you have performed. But for the most part, funeral homes just accept that, that's lost business. And I know people get their undergarments all in a tiffy about things like that. And the truth be told, I don't know why people do that. If you call the plumber, dude, they're charging you $150 just to start driving out to your place. And they charge you from the moment they are leaving wherever they are to come to you. Now that I'm in charge of a school, anytime I have to hire a contractor, electrician, or plumber or whatever to come in and do work, dude, they hit me for a service charge. They hit me for the time starting when they drive over. I mean, it's ridiculous. And when you engage a funeral home for you consumers, you're basically having an employee take a company's car, drive to wherever it is that they need to perform the service that you are requesting, and then drive back to the funeral home. The entire time they're under, you have to pay for that employee, you have to pay for the insurance to cover that employee in case something happens, the automobile insurance, the fuel, etc. So, you are invoking cost. And funeral homes traditionally have just eaten it when they lose the call. That's just the quote-unquote the cost of doing business. But the problem is you have record inflation occurring. You have funeral homes needing to pay attention to their bottom lines, and they just don't want to lose that money. So they're going to try to go after that $395 for that late-night pickup, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, especially if they're using a third-party service, because they're going to get billed for that. So when you go to release a body, you have to give it up. And that's for sure in the state of Florida. If any of the other states change, feel free to drop that in the chat, drop that in the comments later, to let me know that there's a state out there that allows you to go ahead and hold the body till the family ponies up. Outside of the United States, that's almost the de facto law. That's the rule. It's the exact opposite. You go to the Caribbean islands, they'll hold the body for ransom. You go to just about any country in the African continent, they're going to hold the body for ransom. In fact, that's one of the things that, if I recall, is even on the Department of State website for the United States, that if you are traveling abroad and you need funeral services, you have to pay their bill or that body's not going anywhere, because the funeral director doesn't have to let it go. Not so in the United States. So thousands of dollars to release a body to a rival funeral home. I can only imagine what he was charging for. And if we're looking at this from a strictly, you're going to charge for what has rendered. If you've met with the family, you can charge the basic services fee. That's absolutely fair game. If you have performed the transfer from the hospital or the nursing home or the residence or wherever the place of death is, you can charge for that as well. Because remember, the basic services a funeral director and staff can be assessed for and with anything else that you have done. So I know there are some funeral homes in the state of Florida who, if they have met with the family, they charge for the basic services of funeral director and staff. You walk into the doctor's office, you sit down with the doctor, you're paying a consultation fee. Like, you pay your copay if you have insurance, but otherwise you're paying like $300, $400 to sit there for 15 minutes with the doctor. Like, why wouldn't a funeral director charge for their time when they're there for an hour and a half or 2 hours meeting with you? Funeral directors, again, traditionally have just eaten that as part of the cost. So on Wednesday, the Savior WFTV, the sweetest-smelling WFTV in the world, publicized the plight of Cassandra Jackson, who said rather than offering a rental, Bird told her to buy a $5,000 custom casket and wrap to use for her daughter's viewing before her body was cremated. Okay. I mean, we can offer merchandise. That's kind of part of what we do, right? We're going to try to offer merchandise that fits the family's needs, that fits within their budgets. $5,000 for a custom casket with wrap just to cremate it seems to be a bit excessive, but I also know families that will absolutely do that, no ifs, ands, or buts. So all in all, $5,000 for a custom casket, especially if it's a cremation casket, that's probably not bad. We're looking at probably a select hardwood or some type of composite wood material. Because I can't imagine you're buying a solid walnut for $5,000. And why would you do that if you're just going to put a custom wrap on it? With the promise that the casket will be preserved and stored for future memory. Oh my God, I can't even finish that. With the promise that the casket would be preserved and stored for future family members' funerals. Wow. Okay. I really wish I would have put something a bit stronger in this other than just body armor light. Because that seems to be some military grade bullshit that I just walked through. Can you imagine a funeral director, a licensed funeral director, anywhere in the United States promising, hey, buy a $5,000 casket and I'll store it here for your future use? Oof. Come on. The casket wound up in a storage unit, so they did buy it. And the owner of the unit stopped paying the bill. Jackson's friends discovered the casket sold on Facebook Marketplace for $78. Oh, man. I'd be hot. Someone's getting sued. Someone is legit getting sued. The seller said the casket's new owner did not want to turn it over to the family. You just want the casket back. That's the last thing she laid in. After Jackson's story aired, other families, business owners, ex-employees began reaching out to celebrate the revocation of Celebration of Life's license and share their stories. Oh, man, the Facebook, the internet never fails to disappoint, right, folks? Sheila Holloman said Bird failed to deliver on thousands of dollars worth of promises for her husband's funeral last year. She also claimed to try to access her family's funds behind their backs, which Bird is denied. Holloman said he was happy to hear about the board's decision, while Holloman herself said she was still angry with Bird. I mean, I would be. Both went to the same church. We kind of sat by each other and kind of built a relationship at that point. I feel like he took advantage of me. Oh, my God, dude. They even got, a video showing that the thing sold on Facebook. Oh, my gosh. Oh, God. I have to laugh. This is so bad that you just have to, let it out with humor, because that is just so horrible to happen to a family. Like, this is total garbage. Wow. In addition to facing loss of business, Bird is also facing a felony charge connected to a stolen rental vehicle, a lawsuit by a casket company over non-payment, and a warrant in Broward County described on an arrest not only as grand theft. Yeah, I can see, I can see how they might be able to do that as grand theft, but yeah, because I mean, if he took the casket that he said he was going to store, gave it to another person when it's not his to give, who stored it somewhere on his behalf, he's essentially converting it as if it's his possession. So I think that could constitute theft. Jason immediately of We Wrap Caskets in Davie, Florida. Hey, Davie, there's something close by to where I used to live. I used to live in Lauderhill. Davie was right down the street. Excellent pizza place in Davie, folks. If you're ever visiting over there, I know it's a franchise, but it's still good stuff, and the name is appropriate. Stoner's Pizza. There's Stoner's Pizza in Davie, Florida. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the best pizzas that I think you can get. Like if you're jonesing for pizza, don't want to do like Domino's or Pizza Hut. And I never eat at Papa John's. Stoner's Pizza is pretty dang good. Said it might be connected to his situation. He claimed Bird wrote him an invalid check in May, then closed and connected bank account 2 days later. All right. Oh, my God. He said he skipped a lawsuit and went straight to local police department to try to press charges. All right. Yeah, that'll do it. It is sad that people like to take advantage of people. Person not responding to multiple emails seeking statements or responses. He claimed that he was running an ethical business investigator, found nothing wrong when they inspected. Whatever you're trying to do to discredit me, it won't work, love, he said. Well, it is not hard to hide this stuff on paper. Like, so let's talk about what happens when an inspector comes in to do an inspection at your funeral home. Unless they're coming in for like a complaint, right? If they're coming in for a complaint, they're probably going to ask for a specific file, ask specific questions. And really the complaint process that I've experienced in the state of Florida, when someone lodges a complaint, you usually get written notice of the complaint. Like the inspector just doesn't show up at the door 99% of the times. They take notice of the complaint. They send you a notice a complaint has been filed. They tell you what the nature of the complaint is, and then they request documentation according to that case. So the first thing they ask for absolutely every single time is a signed statement of goods and services to see what type of services were rendered. Does it have the proper signatures? Is it filled out properly, et cetera, et cetera. So if they're going in and they're pulling the paperwork and the paperwork is in order, that's like step number one. If you're doing the shady stuff on the side, that's a lot harder to try to figure out. Like you're going to have to go ahead and get a probable cause panel, start an actual investigation, partner with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I mean, this gets out of hand like really quick. This involves multiple agencies and stuff like that. Bird will have a few weeks to appeal the revocation of celebration of life's license before it becomes final. That's true. That's in Florida Administrative Code, if I recall, FAC 69K. Neither Bird nor his representatives appeared before the board to offer a defense on Thursday. That's not surprising. He also didn't return an email question about whether he would appeal. Yeah, and that's probably smart because his attorneys are advising him, like, don't talk to anyone at this point. A learning experience here, right? A teachable moment. Let's talk about this. Consumers, when you walk into a funeral home in any state, anywhere, with maybe the exception of Colorado, but even Colorado issues licenses to firms, okay? At least as of right now. One of the things you should be looking for, and one of the things you can demand is say, I'd like to see where your licenses are posted. I want to see who your licensed personnel are. And if you are sitting there and you're meeting with someone, make sure that they have a license on the wall where it's supposed to be. And under Florida law, that license has to be posted along with any other license about the establishment. So the establishment license, funeral director license, apprentice licenses, intern licenses, all that stuff, pre-need licenses, everything has to be posted someplace accessible to the public. So you can't hide it on a board back in the office. It has to be up front. First thing you should check for. And if you see that, great. And when you're done meeting with someone, it doesn't take it's not a large step for you just to say, is that person's name on a license where the licenses are? And I can't say you can't Photoshop something like that because people can get real creative with photo manipulation, but This allows you to catch something like that. That if you're meeting with someone and their license isn't on the wall, they can't produce a license to show you. Hey, man, you can go on your phone to myfloridacfo.com, okay? Let's dive in there. I'm going to show you exactly, if you're in the state of Florida, how you find out. www.myfloridacfo.com. About division offices, funeral cemetery, and consumer services. And there it is, licensee search. Bam. And you can go right in here. You can type in a person's last name, their first name, as much information as you have. This gets a little bit crazy if you have a corporate entity, because you might have to type the name of the firm as a DBA, doing business as. You'll see that if you look at a firm's license, it'll have the name of the corporation that is the parent company. Smith Corp Incorporated, DBA, doing business as Schmidt Funeral Home and Crematory. You'll see that right on the license. You can even type in an address for the business. So make sure you use these things. Not every state has a searchable database, but the ones that do, you should absolutely take the time to make that up. Oh my Lord. We are among greatness from the Northeast United States. Mr. Solani, how the hell are you, sir? Hope you're staying warm up there, brother. Hope you're doing well. I don't think I've seen anything from you pop up on Facebook recently. That's really weird. So I hope no one's still front-loading parts for your golf cart repair business with a front-loading forklift when it says, please don't use forklifts. These are the same people who have to make sure they read the wrapper on a hamburger that says, don't eat the wrapper. I'm convinced of that. Yeah, we're USA Today. You don't need to give me notifications. I don't read your stuff. So we got some follow-up for the Colorado funeral home. This thing's going to get punted around forever, folks. This thing's going to get punted around forever. Real quick, if any of y'all got questions, got something you want me to talk about, feel free to drop it in the chat. There's about 5 or 6 of you right now out there watching, so thank you for taking the time. Time used by players remains in a hand-blown glass globe. Those are cool. For those of you folks who who have any of that merchandise that you sell at your funeral homes, I really think that hand-blown glass stuff is pretty cool. It's really, really cool. There was a bunch of people doing that at the NFDA convention in Las Vegas this year, like the blown glass stuff. If you're reading, Morella's body been left to rot at their funeral home, surrounded by nearly 200 bodies stacked on tables on the floor. I don't want to, but I would like to see the pictures. From a mortuary science perspective, teachable moments in school, I really think students need to see stuff like that. This is how disrespectful it is, right? This is how disrespectful it is. And if you're going to work for one of these firms, because sometimes, they get licensees that are doing this, you need to know right now that is unacceptable. You need to see how bad it is. You need to see how horrible it is and the ridicule that comes with that. That you're being used as a warning for the next generation not to be that, industrial grade stupid when you're running a business. Accused of failing to cremate bodies dating back at least 3 years. That's nuts, dude. That's nuts. Abusing corpses. So if this was Florida, 200 counts of abusing corpses, I think it's it's probably a third degree, I can't remember. Third degree felony. So you have 200 felony charges just of abusing a corpse. Theft, money laundering, and forgery. You're going to prison for a long time. Whatever deal they're going to give you, just take it. Just sign it so that you go to prison and the families don't try to hunt you down outside. I think we already know about this one. It came up again. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something in there. Because cremation typically destroys DNA, it's almost impossible to tell whose ashes are whose. So, yeah, Okay, so that's an important thing, that it is impossible to kind of tell whose cremated remains are who, but probably if you run it through a mass spectrometer, you're going to determine whether it's like cremated remains or kitty litter. Like you're going to see that certain things probably don't belong mineral-wise in it. So those of you video gamers, I was watching what is it, Modern Warfare 3, the remake Modern Warfare that just came out. It's like I blinked and they came out with another one after that. Because remember Modern Warfare came out and I was excited about that. Still hadn't played it. Modern Warfare 2 came out, and I was like, damn, okay. And then I blinked, and Modern Warfare 3 came out, and I'm like, right, you folks are really trying to capitalize on this. So, spoiler alert, there's a scene at the end where they spread cremated remains, and probably every funeral director everywhere just like spurt their beer and go, that's not the way that works. And if you did it that way, this would blow back right in your face, and that would be horrible. Basically, paperwork confirming where and when her aunt's body had been cremated. So that's an important thing, folks. Anytime you pick up cremated remains, the minimum that you should have when you pick up those cremated remains is a certificate of cremation. And you should be signing a receipt that they're turning it over to you, so that you might not know the exact date and time, because there's a wide variety of what information is found on cremation certificates of cremation, depending on what state you're in. But at a minimum, it should have the location the body was cremated and the name of the person right there. If you open it up, you should have some type of identification disc attached to the receptacle. It's usually a plastic bag or something like that that's been either zip tied or twisty tied, so that it doesn't open in transit or anything like that. And from there, you could quite literally request all documentation and trace that back. In fact, consumers, and I'll say this every time it comes up, if you are not asking what the procedure is when a body is cremated when you go to a funeral home, you're already doing yourself a disservice. That's especially true if you are using a funeral home that doesn't do its own cremations and using a third-party service. Like, honest to God, folks, you need to be asking those questions. You're like, okay, walk me through the process. And see how comfortable that funeral director is answering that question. See how comfortable they are about, or see how knowledgeable they are of the entire process. And ask them, when was the last time you just went down and visited that crematory? To see what they say. Not when they drop somebody off. When was the last time you went there and walked through to make sure that they do exactly what they say they do? Most state laws, to my knowledge, do not require a funeral director to do that. Okay? Now, a best practice is you absolutely do that every year. Once a year, spot check them to make sure. And there is no licensee on earth who has been through mortuary school in the United States that doesn't know that that is the absolute best practice. Like, there are a variety of law books on the market. In fact, there's a new law book on the market. J. Cody Walker, he's a professor with Pierce Mortuary Colleges. He just came out with a new textbook, which I do not have here because I left it in my office. But Funeral Service Law in Texas. Brand new book that's out there. He gave it to me when he saw me last, and I'm excited to read it. I would probably be surprised if he doesn't talk about that even in his book. And I don't really know the laws in Texas as well as I know the laws in Florida. But if you're looking at Gilligan's book, Gilligan's book has it in there because that's probably the one that's been around the longest. And I want to say that was even in there when I was in mortuary school like 15 years ago. Larry Cleveland's law book has it in there for sure. The mortuary law book by Thomas Dietz has it in there. That's a brand new one that's out in the market. That's such a great book. I love that book. This is something that I don't care where you're going to school, you learned this. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you forgot it, that's on you, but why the hell would you forget it? And if you take, quite literally, any cremation class offered by ICCFA, NFDA, NFDMA, any of the national organizations, CANA, forget it, man. They hammer that into you that you need to be inspecting your crematory. And if you're a crematory owner, you should be encouraging them to do that. And you should really enjoy the fact that they are coming and taking an interest to make sure that you are doing your business right, because then you know you're working with some reputable people. Like, you know they are caring about their clients because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to keep everything on the up and up. If you say Halford's contract with a separate crematorium to handle the cremations that did occur, then why would you screw around, dude? Like, if you're not even doing them yourselves, why would you not just do the job? Investigators still trying to figure out whose bodies are actually cremated and whose were left stacked at the funeral home. That's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah, these people probably aren't going to get stopped, aren't going to even be stopped being sued by, like, until they die. Because at that point, and even then, they're probably going to sue their estates. Like, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Look at that. The Halford's County is so outrageous in character and so extreme in degree as to go beyond all possible bounds of decency. You know the lawyer said that. You know the lawyer said that because they're setting up for the intentional infliction of emotional distress. Like, that's the language that's used. When you sue someone for intentional infliction or unintentional infliction of emotional distress, the standard there is you had to do something that exceeds all bounds tolerated by society. And that's exactly what the language they're using here. So outrageous, so extreme that it goes beyond all bounds of decency. And there it is. It is utterly intolerable in a civilized community. It's almost a word for word. If you look at the lawsuit, it's probably going to be like right there somewhere in the first couple pages. Governor Jared police issued a disaster declaration to help speed the investigation and cleanup, and he thanked prosecutors. Yeah, I mean, dude, can you imagine that? 200 bodies that are decomposing. You literally are probably going to have to call in something like the National Guard or something to come over and sit down and clean that place out. Like, how could you work there? Like, how could you literally be in the building? I'm not getting that. Contrary to popular belief, funeral directors don't like smelling it. Like, that's not something we wake up and it's like, do I put on the Tom Ford or the Putre sign today? Like, we don't do stuff like that, for crying out loud. 200 bodies. That's like mass grave. I can't imagine. Dude, I can't imagine it. Like, suppose out love. Now they're pushing dealing with the Titan funeral home regulations. Yeah. They haven't worked out details for, again, dude, trash. Like, people are trash when they do stuff like this. And of course, I found this. I'm pretty dry. I had a full day at work, and every time I took a break, I had to sit down and build some IKEA furniture. I'm giving up on trying to move some of my stuff from Miami, so I'm just going to, like, rebuy it and build it here and then just, like, bring my possessions and then either give that stuff away or leave it there for whoever buys my townhome. Some Northwest Gainesville residents are worried about fumes from a nearby crematorium. If you're doing your job right with the crematorium, guess what, folks? It's water vapor. So this is fun right here. So what do you have here? You have black smoke coming out of the crematorium. What are a couple things that we can glean from that? So if the crematorium is in proper working order, okay, this is likely primary ignition. When it first starts, you do get a little bit out there. You get a little bit of visible emission, and then it goes away almost instantaneously. So you have to watch for it. And when you, and again, I'm going to speak from my experience in the state of Florida. When someone comes to do your visual inspection, because in the state of Florida, they do have to do a visual inspection, they literally pull out a lawn chair, sit outside, and they watch for visible emission while you're cremating to make sure that you are not putting stuff out in the atmosphere that you shouldn't be. And what I'm looking at here, just out of curiosity, let's press play and let's see what it gives us. Yeah, we don't care. We're reading the article, pal. Get to the smoky smoke. Greasy black smoke emanating from crematory. Flames coming out the stack. Okay. So, I don't know how many of y'all are students in there, okay? I don't know how many of y'all students are watching right now. If you're getting flames coming out of the stack, what's going to cause that? I'll give y'all a couple seconds because you might be buffered, you might be lagging. I'll give y'all a couple seconds to try to respond if you're a student. And if your instructors haven't taught you like that depth of cremation, put that in the chat too, just out of curiosity. Because I know there's a wide latitude given for how instructors present material. And it'd be interesting to see if any of you all have covered something like that. Because when you have flames coming out of the stack, there are only certain things that can cause that. In the meantime, we'll keep on clicking here, trying to see I guess that was not a fast forward. Well, that's a bummer. Dude, Roku is still a thing? Are you kidding me? I did not want to open the ad. I just want you to get past the ad. Dang it. Oh, come on. All right, let's reload the stupid thing. Oh my God, forced ads. I swear ever since YouTube, like a couple of weeks ago, YouTube, I think, rolled out a new version, and it is awful. Like you get like 2 minutes and all of a sudden you get an ad. Okay, so I'm going to be critical here. I'm going to be critical. You're a news agency. You want to talk smack. You want to get people to come here so they can see ads about some, puma drinking out of someone's bird feeder or whatever. Why the hell would you go at night to look at a smokestack at a crematory? Like, at least paint it against the daylight sky so people can see the stack. Like, this is a little ridiculous. Sorry, folks. I got to throw you under the bus with that. That just looks ridiculous. So clearly they're focused on the stack because stack. I love the way they manipulate this. Like, oh my God, look at all these people driving on this like 2-lane road. What is it? 4 lanes, 2 on each side. Yep. Okay. And look, I don't know how far I get. This is cute. Like at night, you can't really see like the distances proportionate wherever. This looks stupid to me. Like, even if I wasn't trained in here, this looks far enough back away from people's stuff that it's not an issue. Or is this someone's home? Is this someone's home in their shed? Because if this is like someone's home and shed, then that's pretty much like the same setup that we had at the crematory where I used to work. Like literally right next door, there was a hair salon, which, bad luck. There's a funeral home and a crematory right next to you. You might not want to open a hair salon there. Just saying. Black smoke and flames, there's that. Matt said, I don't even smell the crematory and I work in one. Yeah, the only thing you smell is cigarette smoke from my boss just outside the door. Yeah, he's cremating his lungs. Look at this trash. Why would you leave your door open? Oh my God. Oh, look at that. They found the sunshine. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Let's get back. So, I mean, I guess this is like old school funeral home. Like, I'm not a fan of these old funeral homes that rely on like fluorescent lighting to light their place. You probably walk into this place, there's like no natural lighting whatsoever because I can't imagine they have skylights in there. So this is probably like one of those old dusty, like you can, I can already smell and taste the carpet at this point. And that doesn't mean that like this is a bad funeral home. It's just that I don't like these old funeral homes that don't have any windows out front. Like that's just not my thing. So probably definitely old school because if you have to have if you put it in your garage and you leave your garage door open in order to like, I don't know. This is one of those things that I don't agree with. So at the funeral home I used to work with, this is the way they used to do their business, right? They converted basically a garage area and put a crematory in there. And that's a perfectly fine model to use. But then you have to be aware that people are going to drive by, and if you leave that door open, they're going to be able to stare inside and see what's going on. And these funeral homes were built before the era of camera phones. Like, people just didn't walk up and take pictures inside funeral homes back in the 40s and 50s, to my knowledge. Nowadays, you can literally just hang outside and just click it on your telecommunications device. And let's see, what are we looking at here? Okay, so we see a church truck, and I guess that's an alternative container on top of it. Like, I can't tell. I can't tell what it is on top of the church truck. For some reason, I would think that an alternative container would be a little bit taller, but maybe it is like one of those gray cardboard ones. It just looks weird. I can't figure out what's here on the right because it's got wheels on it. It might be a body lift. Might be a lift. Yeah, it looks like a lift device, which has nothing to do with... I mean, you're not going to use a lift device to put someone in a crematory. That's just stupid. You know, you use that to put bodies into either alternative containers or caskets. I guess this is the retort here on the right. Maybe that's it. Maybe this thing with the wheels to the right of the church truck is the... oh, dang it, I did it again. Maybe it's the rollers that lead into the device. I don't know. I guess when you're trying to take pictures on the sly, that you're not going to get an actual good look of anything that's in there, and this allows. And anytime you're dealing with a funeral home, you are you're absolutely going to be letting people's imaginations run wild. So let's see if we can get some like burning smokestack here. I want to see how much smoke is actually coming out of this thing. Okay, crap picture. Here we go. So, I mean, it looks like trash, but most of these stacks look like trash, especially if they've been there a while. So we saw some rust on the outside. That's neither here nor there. Let's do a pause. Ned's staff spoke with the complainant to discuss their concerns. The complainant inquired about the health and safety of living near a crematory. Unless it explodes, you don't have much to worry about. Unless it catches fire, you don't really have much to worry about. The department gave an in-depth background to facility operation, the source of the malfunction. Additionally, the department discussed that the facility had recently completed visible emissions compliance. There it is. Bam. So they got their visible emissions. You know, crap happens when you run a crematory, man. Like, if a power thing goes out, that can lead to visible emissions. And that's probably the most common thing that happens in Florida when you have visible emissions coming out of a crematory, is there's some sort of localized power fluctuation which causes the crematory to reset. And when it does, it'll drop temperature fairly quick. And if God help you, if the power goes out for any extended period of time, because it will drop temperature and it'll cease cremating and resume burning. So there is a difference between cremating and burning. A massive difference between the two. The complaint was given the Florida Department of Health Tuxbury section phone number for any air quality health related concerns. Yeah, like you're gonna know if there's an uncontrolled burn going on. Like, okay, so they're parked away and they're trying to take shots, like trying to be slick and sneaky about it. Why not just, like, if you're going to do that, just walk up and, like, peek under and take a picture at that point. Come on. Be that guy. Be Lois Lane. Okay, so, I mean, it's under a carport. We didn't have that. Like, we didn't have the carport over. We just had the garage door. I wonder if this is the processing station right here where the vents are. That's usually a thing, that you'll have a vent going outside next to a processing station. Could be. So I like that. I like how they had that one still of smoke coming out of the crematory, but they have no video of it. And probably because if they posted it, you'd see that it was like puffing smoke for a second and then stopped. So I'm a little disappointed because I expected to actually see like more visible emission. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what causes those type of things to actually happen. So if you're having black smoke and flame, what is usually happening there, you're having an uncontrolled burn. There's been some malfunction in the crematory where the thing is basically on fire inside. So what's the good news? Most, if not all, portions of the unit are engineered to withstand that. So if you have flames coming out the top, you're not really at a risk of something really bad happening unless you have something close to your stack that is flammable, right? If you don't, and this is why you shouldn't have branches or wood or something next to the unit. It's why when you're installing a unit, you're cautioned to leave like ample amounts of space between the cremation retort and like your walls, so that should something happen, should there be a catastrophic failure inside of your fire brick, that even if the heat gets to the outside of the machinery, if it gets to the outside of the retort, as the steel conducts the heat, there's nothing around it that can actually ignite on fire. So what you're probably looking at there is maybe they tried doing someone in the retort that was that weighed too much, and when you're doing morbidly obese bodies, and I am morbidly obese, so no one had better throw me some shade for saying that, because I'm categorically morbid obese. So if you were to cremate me and not take proper steps to cremate me in your unit, chances are good you might actually have a little bit of flames pop off the top, because as the body reduces, the fat turns into oil, and the oil is going to burn hotter and in more quantity. So what you have to do when you are cremating a person that is morbidly obese, and especially if you're cremating them like a wood casket, you really need to starve the air that's in there, because when you starve the air, the oil is not going to combust as readily or as quickly. This is why you are cautioned that when you are doing something like a glossy casket with a high veneer, a high gloss veneer, or a glossy lacquer, that's the word I was looking for, or an obese person that is very corpulent, you need to just let it burn. Don't open the door. Don't invite any extra oxygen into the machine. Let the impeller do its work. Let it inject the oxygen that needs to be there. And at some point, it'll be under control the entire time. This is why, folks, when you run a crematory, you are warned, inspect your fire brick. You do not want to see any holes. You want to make sure that none of the things that where air is injected or flame comes out of have any clog or debris affecting it, so that you are getting the most efficient cremation that you can. The other thing that can happen is if when a unit is fired up, air is rushing through the unit, injecting inside, causing the cremation, causing combustion. In the back, there is a afterburner, which as air and products of combustion flow to the back, the afterburner pushes it down. It burns it again, trying to clean any of the air before it comes out. And what happens is most modern cremation units operate on something called a warm hearth concept, which means where you load the body, there is a chamber underneath that has spacers in there called baffles. So as the products of combustion, the hot air are rushing through that secondary chamber, it hits the baffles, which slows the air down, which allows particulate, especially visible particulate, to basically stay in the unit. So by the time it gets to the shaft that leads out through the stack, there's nothing coming out of that stack. So if you're getting flames coming out of the stack, then you're getting products of combustion or maybe oil leaking through the bed, getting into that secondary chamber, which then ignites and comes right out the stack. Those little puffs that we were seeing on the screen grab that was on the video, that's not enough. That's not enough. If you've seen a car on fire, that's billowing black smoke. That is thick, greasy, nasty black smoke. You should not be seeing that coming out of a cremation unit. And if you are, that means there has been a catastrophic failure or a power outage in that unit, because it is engineered not to produce stuff like that. That's just the reality of it. Let's take a peek over at the chat real quick. Nothing new hanging out there. Saw one more cool thing on the NFDA website. We'll toss that up here real quick. Pinnacle Funeral Service pledges $100,000 in support of the Funeral Service Foundation. That's pretty cool. I saw that, and that was that really impressed me. Funeral Service Foundation does a lot of good stuff. It does a lot of good stuff, among which are student scholarships. And let's take a couple of seconds here to talk about that. Student scholarships. There is so much money to be had out there. Now, I'm not saying don't read the fine print. Absolutely read the fine print on a scholarship. Like, you need to read the fine print on a scholarship, okay? You have to do it. But there is so much money out there that people are not taking advantage of. It's crazy. Like, I'm not understanding what is happening with the youth of America, or at least people that are coming to mortuary school. But you're expecting your professors to write your scholarship applications for you. Like, you expect them to find the scholarship. You expect them to fill out the application. You expect them to give a letter of recommendation. You expect them to help you with the video. You expect them to basically make the foolish thing. I mean, even proofread their, if there is an essay required, you want them to proofread the essay. It's like, at some point, you have to step up and do those things yourselves. And certainly your professors will be happy to, like, step in and assist you here and there, but they can't do all of it. And if the scholarship calls for that, you need to send it in, okay? I can't tell you how much money gets left on the table every year at the American Board of Funeral Service Education because people simply don't fill out the scholarship application in its entirety. So, real quick, okay? Let's dive back over to the shared screen. Bink. So here we are at the American Board of Funeral Service Education's website. Those of you who are longtime listeners know that I am intimately involved with the American Board, serving as its president for, it's just about a year and a quarter now. Time is ticking down. I am very quickly becoming the lame duck. And if you come over here, there's a little section for students with a bunch of stuff in there. But like right here, there's a scholarship program, and you apply for the scholarship online. So get in there and apply for the foolish thing. Mid-America got one, Worsham got one, Gupton Jones got one, University of Minnesota got one, Community College of Baltimore County. I mean, folks, make it hard for them to find people. Like, make it hard for them to have to be selective as to who's getting a scholarship. Turn stuff in. Because I can tell you the frustration that people have had in the American Board on the Scholarship Committee in the past, where they might get 15 or 16 applications, but, 4 of them are actually completed. The rest are missing an essay, or they don't have the application completely filled out. So make sure that you are in here taking advantage of the free money that's there. And if you are a mortuary science educator, there are also scholarships for you, okay? If you are working full-time at a mortuary science program, and what we see a lot of is people coming into the mortuary science education field, funeral service education field, with a bachelor's degree. And if you want to be full-time, you can start with a bachelor's degree, but within 5 years, you have to have a graduate degree, a master's degree, which is easily achievable. There are some programs that allow you to complete a master's level education at your own pace as quickly as possible. And people have been blowing through MBAs or stuff like that in like 6 months if they don't have much else on their plate they have to worry about. So you can knock out a 6-year degree or a 2-year graduate degree in like 6 months if you have nothing else going on. We got scholarship money for that. We'll help cover it. So when you stack something like the graduate scholarship with maybe an employer's tuition reimbursement, you're probably paying for a good chunk of the education, and you won't have to rack up that much loans. Or if you are racking up loans, as soon as you get those payments in, send them immediately out and get rid of that dang loan. Like, kill it. If you already have a master's degree, there may be scholarship opportunities for you as well. I mean, folks, find the money. The money is out there. Now, if you're looking at one of these mortuary science scholarships offered by an employment company, say a large corporate entity, medium-sized corporate entity, whoever, make sure you read the fine print. Some of them want a minimum years of service requirement. If not, you have to pay the entire scholarship back. So if you're getting 10 grand and they want 5 years out of you, if you leave before 5 years, you're going to have to cough up that 10 grand. You owe them that money. That's part of the charm of you taking that. So be careful what you sign up for when you want the free money. If you are if you fall into a category of any specialized or any at-risk community, I think is the term they use these days, there are scholarships out there that throw money at you. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. This also leads into, if you're thinking about a mortuary science education, federal financial aid is not indefinite. Okay, it's not indefinite. And you really want to think, if you are taking federal financial aid, what you want to do, because most mortuary science degrees exceed, for like a 2-year degree, the minimum number is usually 60. Hit 60, get an associate's degree. I don't know too many mortuary science programs that have 60 semester credit hours for their mortuary science degree. They just don't. They're all like 72. Usually the maximum allowed by the state that the school exists in. So you can burn through financial aid pretty quick with a mortuary science degree. And it's the same exact thing if for those of you who are like physics or engineering majors. You burn through your financial aid pretty quickly because your degrees are like not 120 at baccalaureate, but like 130, 140, 150. So you end up running out of financial aid before your degree's ever done because you can't actually earn the degree until you cross that threshold. It's pretty crazy. Put that away. Hey, you know what? I want to do a shout out. Because I was like scrolling through Facebook today. I had a doctor's appointment earlier on, so I was scrolling through Facebook, and I recalled that one of my funeral service education peers, Dr. Damon De La Cruz, he just finished his second Ironman with a personal best. So I've known Damon for a couple of years through the American Board. Brilliant chemist, publishes a chemistry book, I think a restorative arts book as well. Partners with Frigid Fluid, has videos all over the internet, does continuing ed, travels the world, posts like cool videos for students. I've seen them on Facebook. I'm sure they're available in other modalities like Instagram and whatnot. So seeing him like kick the hell out of an Ironman second time around, that's pretty badass because Damon is pretty badass. So cool for him to knock that out, man. Like just thinking about it, I'm just like, dude, no, my fat ass have a heart attack just walking up to the start line. I'm good. That's not my thing. I'll do my couple laps around the back of the parking lot, but nope, no Ironman for me. So chat, what do you folks got going on, man? I've been talking nonstop almost for more than an hour at this point. It's been a crazy couple months after getting here to Texas. Let me tell you what. I'm glad things are starting to slow down just in time for the holidays, so they can pick right back up because it's the holiday season. And y'all go out for Black Friday? And any of y'all risk the crowds? I did. I waited till like 2 p.m. and that's when I left the house. Hopefully graduating soon? What do you mean hopefully? You just need to graduate, dude. Whatever it takes. What school you at? I just found an ad or a news article. So the movie Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin goes on a shopping spree, costs him like $19.83. If he was to do that today, it would be $73 basically. Leo, oh my Lord! Hashtag Florida man, hell yeah! Miami-Dade College, there we go. Tiffany, is that you? My favorite British expatriate or British subject. It took a second. I was like, who the heck is Tiff? That might be. It might be her. So Lee, you're probably what? You're in a professional review right now, getting ready to graduate. Like that should be. Yeah, that should be wrapping up. Oh my God, it is the British invasion. You know, good for you. I've been like living vicariously through LinkedIn, like watching all your successes on there. It's pretty cool to see. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty cool to see. Ah, okay, that's different. All right. So I was like, yeah, I don't recognize the name. That's weird. But now, yeah, I know who you are. Yep. Finally, I admit it. Hell yeah, I'm not at Miami-Dade anymore. It's no longer a conflict of interest. Last exam yesterday. Aren't you glad to get that the hell out of your life, right? Be glad I'm not teaching it, man. I used to make you folks finish the take the final before, like either right before or right after Thanksgiving. So that way, when you got to this point, you already knew, like you knew what was happening. And you'd be happy to know I'm still watching sumo. I'm still watching sumo. Um, Dude, it's so weird. Like all the guys I started watching from like 3 years ago, they're all injured. They're all retiring. They're all gone already. Like Toshinoshin is gone. Kaise is gone. Like, man, it's crazy. Yeah, dude, Tiffany's going to be like funeral director to the king at this point. Or you might go to work over there at Joseph Gawler's over in the U.S. That's the presidential funeral home. The science was scary. I'll tell you what, science pass rates are pretty scary across the board right now. People, it's really weird. You go back like 7 or 8 years, and you'll see that there are people who, Miami-Dade especially, would have higher pass rate on the sciences than they did on the arts. And as I was leaving, we're seeing a reversal in that. The people were having a harder time with the sciences than on the arts. And that just blew my mind because we always owned the sciences. Always. Yeah, I hope so. Like, I'm telling you, I'm planning my trip at some point. Like, it's the weirdest thing. So I guess, like, updates on Professor Finn. I'm stepping back from all my teaching. Like, all the part-time jobs are gone. So I'm only working one job. And I got to admit, it's pretty weird because I have never, ever just had one job. Like as far back as I guess, no, because even if I go back to like my first jobs, so my first quote unquote corporate job was I worked at an Amaretta Hess gas station, the old blue and greens. Now I think they are all racetracks. I think they're racetracks. No, I'm sorry, they're speedways. I think they're speedways. So even then, I was a minister of music or a church liturgical singer. Like I have always had 2 or 3 jobs my entire life. And now I am only doing one thing. And it's kind of freaky that I finish work. And folks, I'm catching up to 50 really quick. So for basically 48 going on 49 years of my life, when I entered the working world, I have only ever worked like 2 to 3 jobs minimum. And now it's like the weirdest thing to be finished work and I'm actually done work. And I can go, well, hell, what am I going to do now? Like, I don't have to go grade anything. I don't have to look at any papers. It's crazy, dude. So, like, I'm planning my trips. Like, okay, yeah, I want to go to Japan. So I'm going to have to take a vacation here so I can catch one of the bashos. And I'm probably going to want to do the one in the fall, like the one right before Thanksgiving. It's either going to be that one or the one right after the New Year. So I don't want to do the one in the spring or the one in July. Like, I just don't want to do it when it's like super hot. Need advice on navigation on your guy? Cool. That's cool. I'm just looking forward to like getting over there, stepping off the plane. They're gonna be like, "Oh, kaiju!" I'll walk around with like a little Bluetooth speaker and let out Godzilla roars. I think I'm good. You have to take up square dancing, whatever they do down in Texas. No. I'm sorry. Like, my inner inbreeder is just not going to kick in to do that sort of stuff. Like, I went to country bars back in Lauderhill when I was dating someone down there. We went with friends over to like one of the country bars in Davie. So on University Boulevard, right? You got the Best Buy, you got the Costco, you got the Whole Foods. In the Whole Foods Plaza, next to what used to be a Bed Bath & Beyond, there used to be a cowboy bar there. And I actually, like, the girlfriend told me, hey, we're going to go to the cowboy bar. And I had to go out and buy boots and crap because I had none of that garbage at the time. And I was just like, dude, seriously, I can't. She said, no, you have to dress up. And I'm like, sucks. Now I'm living in Texas, and I got, like, the damn hat. I got the freaking embroidered, like, shirt. And I love bolo ties. I've always loved bolo ties. Now I can legit wear bolo ties, like, every day of the week and not care. And this, like I said, this was the latest acquisition. And there's the hat I wore last time, which is beaver. And oh my God, like, your head just roasts. Like, it's crazy. You would never wear that in summer. And by God, you wouldn't wear it without air conditioning if you are. It is summer. This thing, exact opposite experience. This one's made out of straw. And I've been sitting here now an hour and a half. Hardly feel it. Air circulates through it really well. I'm like, okay, I can see why I see a lot of people wearing these day in and day out. But as for square dancing, no, man. Like, once you've lived in Miami and you've done bachata and you've done merengue and you've done all those others, forget it, man. Line dancing, my ass. No way. Not gonna happen. Titus says we're getting old. Dude, we are getting old. Like, bro, we're not going to be doing those after-hours treks up and down the mountains with paintballs and whatnot anymore. We're past that age, bro. That's a young man's game. Dude, I love this shirt. The shirt's heavy, though. Like, my God. It's got, like, embroidery everywhere. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It is so extra. So no bull riding either. Dude, if I got tossed off the mechanical bull, I'd be in a wheelchair till I die. Like, no. I am not playing stupid games. No, I'm going to play stupid games. But it's going to be like I have to weigh the risks of playing the stupid game. And I absolutely am not going to get wrecked on a mechanical bull. And I know better than try to, like, mess with something that's like 2,500 pounds, 3,000 pounds of absolute hate, trying to gore me to death. No, I'm good. I wouldn't mind wrangling. I wouldn't mind learning some rope work. Like, I wouldn't mind doing some rope work. That's really cool stuff. Like, I really wouldn't mind doing some, like, rope technique. And my eyes are getting so bad they forget anything to do with, like, sharpshooting. Like, my eyes are going, man. By the time I hit 60, I'm going to be surprised if I have any vision left. Looks cool. Dude, I love this hat. I love this hat. And I don't know what possessed me, but I was like, you know what? Black Friday. I'm going to go down to, like, either Boot Barn or Cavender's and get me a damn straw hat. I want a damn straw hat. And, of course, Black Friday, no damn sales on hats. Talking about horse shit, man. How do you not have sales on Western gear? Like, anything else in the store? Oh, yeah, you can buy shirts and crap, but the hats, forget about it. That's going to be MSRP year long. So I'm like, all right, you know what? This is crap. I'm just going to buy it. Forget it. And this one's just, like, perfect. Like, I like the hat band right off the bat. Like, this is a perfect hat. I even like the way it looks. I'm usually, like, some hats make me look stupid. Now, this hat makes me look stupid, but in a way that I'm okay with. Lavinia, sweetheart, how the hell are you? Passed your art, studying for... Good for you. Hey, congratulations, because that means at a minimum, sweetie, you're a funeral director, right? So that's like the coolest thing, folks. The moment you know one of those tests, you know the license is forthcoming. Like, you know it's forthcoming. So rock on. Good for you. You've worked hard for it. Can you give some advice putting yourself out there for interviews? Dr. T and a lot of my classmates have given me great resources, but the mental jump to put yourself through, or mental jump is probably what you meant to say, to put yourself there is tough. Okay. So I don't want to be insensitive, right? But you've had a name change. So have you transitioned? Is that a thing, or is that just like you're doing something on the internet because you don't want the internet to know who you are stuff? Like, I respect that as well. But that's why I ask. First and foremost, that's why I ask. Not to be insensitive, not to be rude, just want to know. I'm seeing out what people in text have no idea what they do then. So, like, people probably think that, like, in Texas, all they do is, like, inbreed and attack bulls with their teeth or something. Nah, it's pretty normal. Like, if you're in Florida, you probably wouldn't notice too much difference in Texas. You might notice that in most areas, people are more polite. Like, people are just more polite. But if you're in, like, rural Florida, you have that same type of people. Okay, okay, cool. Just making sure. So I guess step one to that, go to conventions. Like, first and foremost, go to conventions. Don't be afraid to go to the IFDF, Independent Funeral Directors of Florida. Don't be afraid to go to one of their regional luncheons. Like, have someone pencil whip you at the school as, like, still as a student or something, so that you can take advantage of, like, the student rates. Otherwise, it's just like, man, you just have to practice interviewing. Like, you have to practice talking to people. I know MDC had Single Stop, and they had some resources at Single Stop, but the best way to practice interviewing is literally what you did in speech class. Grab someone, grab a friend, sit them down, and talk. And then just have the person rip you a new one for everything you did wrong, so that you can kind of figure it out. Like, the other thing you can do is also record yourself, right? You could record yourself and do it. I mean, I can tell you that when I am having staff meetings and stuff now, like, I'm not interviewing. Like, I don't interview very often for jobs. Like, especially now, like, there's not much more that I can actually do as president of a mortuary school that is higher than that. Like, maybe come back and do, like, district leadership at a larger community college or something. But I don't know. Like, mortuary science has been good to me. I don't see myself, like, jumping out of funeral service ed and going into, like, just non-disciplinary, like, academic leadership. Like, if I don't do this anymore, I'll go back to a classroom before I do something like that. Just because, like, honestly, I already miss teaching. Like, I'm already missing teaching. The other thing is just interview. Like, get yourself in the door. Like, even at jobs you have no intention of taking, just go to interview so that you can hear what questions they're asking, so you can think up of answers. So if you get asked it at a job that you do want, you've already been through it once. I can tell you that when I first started teaching, I interviewed for jobs. One, because, yeah, I am looking. I mean, I don't have much that ties me down, right? So I can pretty much go at whoever's going to throw money at me if I want to go that route. So I would interview at least 2 or 3 times a year for jobs at different schools, just to see what they're asking, what's important, stuff like that. So if someone did come and say, hey, you know what, we'll bring you in at 55, and back, you know, when I started at MDC, I was making 45, that's 10 grand increase, bam, okay. Like, where do I sign up, coach? So don't be afraid to apply for jobs you have no interest in taking just for the interview experience. People seem to forget when you apply for a job, you don't have to take it. Like, I applied for a job at a school I won't name. Okay. I will say the school was here in Texas. I will say that. And I was making at the funeral home like 45 to 47,000. So by today's standards, not very much. by like, 2007, 2008, that's about mediocre. Okay, that's about mediocre, and even in St. Pete, Florida, on the higher end of the scale, if I'm going to be honest. So I was getting paid pretty good for where I was with the experience that I had. I sat there, went through the whole interview, and when I got the job offer, it was for like 32 grand. Bro, did you even look at what I was making? You want me to come across the country to your school, no tenure, 9-month contract, and you're gonna pay me like $14,000 less? Like, I know they have drugs in Texas, and maybe peyote is like more the thing that y'all do, but you're high on something. There ain't no damn way I'm taking that job. And I've applied for other jobs. Yeah, even while I was at MDC. Like, I have no fear in saying that, I've applied for jobs when I was a tenured professor at MDC throughout the years. And the truth is, MDC simply paid me better and had a better benefits package than anyone else that I'd applied at. And there was a couple places that absolutely destroyed MDC. Like, pay was easily 40 or 50,000 higher, and I didn't take the job. And the answer is because they were in states I just didn't want to live in. Like, I might be going out there, but if I'm making 120 grand, poverty level is like 90,000. So I'm not making that much more money. So no, I'm not going to take a job in a state like that. That's just stupid. Go from one poverty level to another one. No, that's ridiculous. So I think that's one of my best piece of advice for you. Just interview for jobs you don't want, just for the practice of interviewing. Last couple of days getting home from work, because I have no personality and no friends, I've been on YouTube watching monk debates. And I love watching monk debates. If you don't know what monk debates are, Google it, go on YouTube, watch them. One of my favorite monk debates is the one on political correctness. And the team that was against political correctness, consisted of Jordan Peterson and Stephen Fry. Like, you don't get too many people that would be considered polar opposites of each other agreeing on something than like Jordan Peterson and Stephen Fry. If you don't know who Stephen Fry is, you should. Stephenfry. The guy is brilliant. He's a brilliant actor, brilliant writer, brilliant journalist. I mean, the guy is just top notch. And he's a phenomenal speaker. He's an amazing speaker. So when you see him debating and doing stuff, it's just, you're in for a treat, because he's very good. He knows when to be funny. He knows when not to be funny. And above all else, he is kind and polite. Even when he is like talking to the people on the other side of the team, he doesn't resort to mudslinging. He doesn't do ad hominem attacks. He doesn't do a whole lot of straw man work. The man just stays in his lane, and he's just so impressive. He's so impressive. I need some good advice in studying for the sciences. It's science. Same advice I give everybody. Folks, when you're studying for the NBE Sciences exam, 1, make sure you're looking at the NBE Sciences study guide. Look at those domains. Look at what is in those domains, and make sure you're studying that material. So if you get to something like preparation for disposition and it's talking about preparing bodies for services, you need to look in your funeral directing books, how to dress people, how to do stuff, because that's what that section, that might be material you encounter in that section. I remember when people first started getting questions like that, they were very, very upset. Why are you asking arts questions on the NBE Sciences? Was what educators and students were saying. And that's just the way it is now. So make sure you are looking there, and you'll see that there's a lot of crossover between some of the job tasks that they list in the study guide. And I've got a video on that on the channel. And like in restorative art versus embalming, there's a couple of tasks that very much blend into each other. So you know that might be something you have to emphasize in your studies. And I don't have the study guide in front of me right now, but, it's available. The video's out there. The video is now dated because they have a new edition of the study guide. I think they separated one for arts, one for sciences. I don't think they have a combined one anymore. But my information there is still relevant. Like, go look at the job task, go look at the professional expectations, and then look at your material from school in that light. That's like the most important thing. Just hated your name. Well, God bless you. You never did. You did something I never had the heart to do. Actually, honest to God, I was going to get a name change at one point. I was so upset that my dad gave me an anglicized name. At one point, I was pretty hardcore paisano. Let me tell you what. So I did not want to stay Joseph Raymond. I wanted to go after my namesakes, Giuseppe Rosario. So my dad's name is Raymond, but his actual birth name was Rosario. And my first name is from my grandfather, Giuseppe. So I was like, why didn't you name me that? It's like, well, because, my dad got into my head that we're Americans now, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man. So when I considered, professional stage work, I was going to convert my name back to its Italian roots. So Giuseppe Finocchiaro would have been my opera singer name. And especially in that crowd, that would have been something very saleable. Like that is something that I would need for my image. I still might do it just out of spite. Tiff, we miss you? Who you miss? I know you're not missing me. Like, I left there and no one cared. It was like, thank God that fat bastard is gone. You don't have to stay with the job you did. You practice? Oh, absolutely not. Great point. Great point. Now, the first thing I'll say is it is extremely beneficial, folks. It is extremely beneficial if you can find a place you like for your internship. So I guess at that point, we have to talk about some of the differences in the mortuary schools. At Florida State College and at St. Pete College, my alma mater, there's a class called practicum where you have to go out and get like 200 hours or whatever it is in a funeral home so you can get so that you're not just walking into the industry with no idea what the hell it does. In Miami, we don't have a class like that. The closest thing that we have at Miami is applications, okay? And there we choose to simulate a lot of the stuff rather than push you out into the field to get the contact hours for the sole reason that there's so much shady crap that goes on in Miami. We want you to learn in the controlled environment. We want you to learn the best practices so that when you get out there, you can adjudicate for yourself whether or not you want to maintain a high standard for yourself or whether or not you want to go ahead and cut all the corners that maybe some of the firms are doing. So it was over the years, we've talked about maybe going into a practicum situation, but then you run into the situation that the funeral homes just aren't receptive to wanting students in there who aren't paid employees. Like, there's a billion excuses as to why they don't want them unless they're paid employees. And you folks have seen that with your observations. Just trying to get into a funeral home to see a funeral is a completely ridiculous experience in the Miami area. It was less so in St. Petersburg. Like, that was not something that was an issue. There were always firms happy to have the students come in, especially at the firm I worked at. I was always happy to help out students of St. Pete College. Like, the program director there, Kevin Davis, was there when I was there. Like, he opened that program. And all Kevin had to do was call me on the phone, send me an email. Hey, I got a student. Absolutely, man. Send them over. And I would, whatever they needed, sit in with the families, come to a service, whatever it was. Absolutely want them there. But back to the original point, if you find a place you like through practicum, or if you're working there while you're in school, then stay with it. Absolutely. Like, why would you want to move if you're happy? Unless, like, they're absolutely screwing you on pay. Which is a thing, okay? Which is a thing. But if you have a place that's trash, don't stay. Don't do it to yourself. All that's going to do is put you in a bad place. Like, total dog shit. Don't do it to yourself. I am telling you, don't do it to yourself. Go somewhere else. And if you have to, go to a different state. Think about getting licensed in a different state. That's a thing, man. You may find yourself more in a better place for yourself, better mental place, just because you're in a better environment. Like, I can't stress that enough. If you have to stick through it, then stick through it. But even if you're an intern, you can change preceptors, right? You can change firms. You just have to notify the Florida division. And it's simple. You let them know that you're changing preceptor. You let them know who the new one is, what is your last day at the new place, what's your new one at the other. And what you do is you work through Friday on one week, and you start Monday at the new job. There's no interruption. No time is added on to your internship. You just start at the new place, and the new person takes over your quarterly reports. It's that simple. It's very expensive and time costly, but every time I see Lee Ritten or someone says, I get all giddy. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Definitely miss you. Aw, that's sweet. I don't miss you. I admit it. I miss some of you people. I miss some of you people from Miami. I absolutely do. One thing I absolutely miss, folks, is I miss the relationship of forming relationships with my students. Like, I miss that. When you're a campus president, you have very little interaction with your campus students. Like, that's just the truth. I had a interaction yesterday solely because a state inspector for the state of Texas came in, and I don't know that much about Texas in regards to how they inspect our facility. Well, one thing, Miami-Dade College is not a licensed facility, right? We don't have a license number. We don't appear on the roster for licensed facilities. And we also don't offer our services to funeral homes where they can come in and embalm bodies in our labs. Because if we did, we'd have to keep records for that. And we'd have to pay, and they'd have to come in and inspect. And for the fact that all we do is student embalmings, it's just not worth it. St. Pete College, my alma mater, their license is a central preparation facility. So they have to keep embalming records. They have to send in information about who they've embalmed. I mean, all of it. Dallas Institute of Funeral Service is licensed as what we would call in Florida a centralized embalming facility. So the inspector has to come in and do all of that. Well, guess what? I haven't spent any time in our prep room. I know where it is. I've watched one of our instructors do it, like going in prep, but I can't prep in Texas. I don't have a Texas license. I could never teach one of the classes in Texas. Arbitrarily, I could probably sit there and do a class if a licensed individual is in the room supervising what I'm doing, but I can't do that. And in all honesty, when you're running a school, you don't have the time to do those things. I don't have the time to sit there and teach a class on a weekly basis. Like, I just don't have the time to do that. Now, south of here in Houston is the Commonwealth Institute, and Cody Lepaski's the president there. And Cody's a great, great guy. Part of his duties is teaching. So he gets to form those relationships with his students. And right now, that's not something I can even think of doing until I get a better grasp of my job as a campus president. And then maybe down the pike, I can teach a class online, because I certainly couldn't do it face-to-face. I can't be out for an hour and a half. Too much happens in an hour and a half that I can't afford to lose it. So I miss the fact that I form relationships with my students. And I'm lucky enough right now, there's still people at Dallas Institute that are getting close to graduation because they were part-time students or whatever, that, I have those relationships from when I was teaching for them part-time through distance education. But man, it's different when you don't form these relationships with your students. Like, that's something that I am very aware of that I miss. Which was said when you left, I felt you didn't tell us anything during summer embalming. That's right, I didn't. Because, one, it is nobody's business. Okay? It is nobody's business. It invites questions. It invites curiosity. And it is of no one's business what I do with my life, to be honest. And that is something that I think that all of you should take away from this live stream. That if you are thinking of doing a career change, if something is making you unhappy, don't air it out to the world. Set the plan and then just work it. Do it. I learned that from a gentleman called Bill. His name is Bill McQueen. He was the owner of Anderson McQueen Funeral Homes or Anderson McQueen Life Tribute Centers. So Bill had two siblings, Johnny and Maggie. And Maggie and Bill sold their share to their brother John. And the way we found out is we came in for a company meeting, a standard company meeting. Bill told us it was done the day before. He was out, said his goodbyes. We said goodbye to him, and he was out the door. That's it. Keep your business private. And truth be told, I did not know how the thing was going to play out. Because again, it was not an easy decision to consider giving up a tenured professorship at a school where I am very well respected, that I have been at for years, to say, hey, I want to go do something different now. But fact of the matter is, I did not and still do not think that I would have any upward mobility at Miami-Dade like I would have down here. At one point, there was talk that maybe I would become the chair of biology. And I decided that wasn't for me. And at a school like Miami-Dade, you have to be a chair before you move into anything higher. That's just kind of like the unspoken rule. You don't get to the higher levels of leadership till you've done your time as a chair. And I just simply was not enthused, and I do not believe I would have done the college right had I become a chair of biology. Now, a chair of business, chair of one of the other departments like fine arts where I have a degree in, that's a different story because I have the education that backs that up. So when I said no to that, I just said, hey, you know what else is out there? And in all honesty, Pierce Mortuary Colleges gave me a very competitive job offer. Enough for me to say, okay, this is the way I'm going to go with it. And even when I did turn in my notice, folks, I really hadn't committed to it until after the semester had ended. So if I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you folks, I made my decision literally Friday at like 5:15 p.m. after the semester had ended. I was like, you know what? That's that. Boom, done, out. So there were reasons for that I simply will not discuss and will not get into. I wish everyone at MDC well. I have a lot of friends there at MDC. I hope that they are still my friends. I still, throw texts and chats and, wish them well at the holidays. But there comes a time where you just realize that maybe you've outgrown the institution. And when you realize that maybe you've outgrown the institution, you probably have, you should take that under advisement and you should look for something else for you because then you're stagnating. And Texas has had its challenges, right? Because I'm adjusting to a different style of job. I'm giving up basically something that I love dearly, which is teaching. But there are some cool perks to the job, man. Going to the conventions, being the person in charge, being a licensed person in charge. And it's been a wild ride for the last couple of months. It really has. It's hard to get an internship in Miami? Yeah. I don't know about that. People are burning through the interns so quickly that if you just need an internship, you can probably find it. Now, if you're looking at Service Corporation International, they don't call them internships, they call them apprenticeships. So if you're ever on the SCI job board and you see an apprenticeship, that's an internship. Okay, that's an intern's position. And to my knowledge, they're always looking. Always. Stonemore's always looking, etc. Now, if you don't want to work corporate, you might have a hard time finding something. But corporates tend to want interns and want lots of them. They are cheaper to hire. They don't have to keep them after their internship ends, so they can just, go one after another. Fred Hunter's usually is always looking as well. So don't be afraid to beat the pavement. Don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid just to show up. Especially like family firms, they almost never have like a job board they pay attention to. That's just the truth. The place that did my practicum treated me like crap. Yeah, that happens. I found a new job to do my apprenticeship and change my entire life. Yeah, exactly. When you find the right place, it's amazing. Like, when I started for a guy named Jim Reese at E. James Reese Funeral Home in Seminole, Florida. And it was quite the experience. Okay? Now, I got to admit, I had it out with Jim a couple of times, right? Our personalities just, hey man, today we would say we triggered, right? But here's a couple things about Jim. If Jim shook on it, it was as good as gold. Period. You could take Jim Reese at his word. And that's one thing that absolutely I could never thank him enough for. Is anything he said, you could trust him at his word. He would never try to screw you on it. Period. Jim did not have an easy time going through the business. Like when people say, hey, be kind, be polite, you never know what's going on. Man, Jim's a taskmaster. Jim's this, Jim's that. As time progressed and Jim talked to me and Jim told me some of the stories from when he started and the stuff that he went through, man, I'll tell you what, my complete perception of Jim changed because I got perspective. Jim was dogged in his apprentice years and during his intern years. I mean, treated like meat. And there was a reason why I tell folks that if you go back and look at all the funeral directors from the 50s and 60s in St. Petersburg, Pinellas County, Florida area, they all died of cirrhosis of the liver, heart attacks, and strokes. There's a reason for that, right? And that affects the people coming in, so people like Jim. Jim was literally giving me a better job than he ever had. Jim was literally, in his eyes, doing me a favor. And he was. He absolutely was. But was it the best place to work? Probably not, if I'm going to be like a completely objective, looking outside through the window. Would I work for him again? Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. Because I can take the man at his word. He gave me opportunities I never would have gotten anywhere else. And truth be told, folks, if I ever would have known he was selling his business, I might have asked him to give me a chance at it. Keep it with me and let me see what I can do. But I had no idea. And instead, he sold it to Anderson McQueen Family Tribute Centers, Bill, John, and Maggie McQueen. And working for them was a joy, right? They had a completely different business model. They invested in their people. They trained them. Yeah, they secret shopped them. Yeah, we had surveys. Yeah, we had all that. But hey, man, I'll tell you what. I'm one of those people that I don't mind that. Like, I'm not a big fan of surveys tied to bonuses. Let me say that right up front. I detest that shit. But I do like training. I do like being trained. And I do not care if people secret shop me or they, phone shop me or whatever. Hey, I want the criticism. That arguably, I was very, very, very good at my job as a funeral director. Period. Full stop. I was one of the best funeral directors in Pinellas County. That is an unarguable fact. That's not being just prideful. That is a fact. I was damn good at my job. I knew it. My families knew it. And that's why people came to me. That's why people from the homosexual community came to me. I was safe. I was knowledgeable. I knew how to navigate things. I was non-judgmental. I was literally everything that community at the time, because there was a tremendous closeted community in that area, would want. So I have those people, I have that community coming to me, and then I have everyone else in the community. Like, it was a hard decision for me to step away from funeral directing. But the relationship changed, right? 2 of the siblings backed out. 1 person is left. It's a different business now. Maybe that's not what I want. And that's when I started thinking about teaching again. And that's when Miami offered me a job. And above all else, Miami offered me a job that was like $5,000 or $6,000 more than what I was making. And it would take me 8 to 10 years to raise, $10,000, $5,000, $7,000, whatever it was. So me just going to Miami for the year was an immediate raise in pay. So I had to take it. I was obligated to do it for myself. I'm so much more motivated and excited to work. Yeah, exactly. I bet they were happy when I left. I traveled with Toby finding that sumo figurine. Happy you left my ass. Part of that is I don't like long goodbyes, folks. I just don't. Okay? I don't like feeling sad. I did my job. I did my job well. Nothing would have been served by me going out. And honest to God, again, I chose that. I made that decision after the semester quite literally had ended. And that was it. Okay? That was it. For the record, I offered to stay on a part-time basis teaching for them. Okay? And we're very clear and very transparent about that. I did not just say, hey, middle finger of fellowship to all of you, I'm out. I offered to continue to teach for them into the fall semester. Because I was coming to Texas and because tax laws suck, Miami-Dade simply chose to cease the employment relationship in its entirety. And that is absolutely appropriate for Miami-Dade to do. Period. So, had things been different with the tax laws, would have been a completely different outcome potentially. And I still would have had some sort of like teaching presence there. Wouldn't have been as a lab instructor for sure because I had to come to Texas. Like I was told as a campus president, you are not a remote worker. You will be on campus. And I don't give a damn about that. Okay? COVID did not change my opinion of how I work or where I work. I do not like generally working from home. Home is not a place for work. Home is home. It's where I play my video games, where I build my Legos, where I screw around and do like dumb Professor Finn things. I don't like working from home. This is fun. I love live streaming. I love doing these things. Putting time and effort into this is fun. But if this was a job, I would not want to do it here. I'd want to do it somewhere else. Or I would have a portion of my home absolutely that is work. And once I cross the threshold, that's it. Yeah, stay quiet when you're making. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. One, so that no one gets butt hurt, no one whatever. And hey, you know, in MDC's favor, they tried to keep me. Okay, they tried to keep me. They could not come close to my pay. They just can't. Period. They could not even come close to my pay. And there's nothing they could have done to even boost my pay to such a significant level that it would have been worth me staying. So sometimes you just get beat. Like, you just get beat because you can't compete. Sorry. Right? Professor Dowers. Hey, sweetheart. How the hell are you? Hey, you feeling any better? I read that Facebook post about your arm. That's bad, man. I'm sorry to see that. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you figured something out with that. If not, you can just come by, I'll like juice you up with whiskey and then amputate your arm. Problem solved, right? At least I got good whiskey. Happy you came to Miami. Thank you for your knowledge. I'm sorry the other students won't have a chance to learn from you. Hey, man, I got YouTube videos for that. And if that's you, Essie, congratulations and happy birthday. I saw that on Facebook. It's very nice to see that. See your Facebook, and you own it, man. You look wonderful at that age. Condemnments won't be the same without you. I started this journey with you before I even got to Florida. I wish it would. Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice. And I was kind of hoping that maybe they could have figured something out to let me teach, at least till commencement. But now I can't, right? If I'm not faculty, I can't be there. So that is what it is. If you want to grab the regalia, come on down to Texas. I'll take a picture with you over at the Dallas Institute or something. I don't even have my robes yet. I'm going to be back in Miami at Christmas to grab some stuff to take back here before the movers move all my stuff. I got to grab my robes because I've got a graduation coming up down here in Texas. And I'm like, dude, I'm not wearing a suit for that. I paid too much for that damn regalia not to wear it. But good to know you're still here through other... Hell yeah. And you know that. Like, you know that. You know if you need me for something, you can reach out via... I mean, that's the beauty of the internet, folks. Like, that is the beauty of the internet. Having grown up without it is... You're taking for granted how wondrous it really is. Like, yeah, Tiffany could be back in the UK and we could pick up the phone and talk. It is different when I can push a button on my computer, talk, laugh, and have a good time. It's completely different. And that is literally a miracle that occurred in my lifetime, that we have that level of telecommunication. And the stuff Google is doing, I mean, that's gonna be next gen. That's gonna be mind blowing if I get to see it in my lifetime. Where basically you have 3D holograms, you know, live streaming. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Glad these live. Yeah, so am I. Like, I love these live streams. That was one of the things that when we were talking about like what my role is here in Dallas and whatnot, very, very clear that, you know, this is my thing. The Professor Finn persona, the celebrity, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't go away. That is something that is near and dear, and I'm going to continue. That's just like this gives me a little bit of joy, I guess is the way I should say it. And now that I have it all set up and I'm comfortable with it and I can run the software and I can be stupid, like I still got nothing on my walls. Like this is driving me nuts that I haven't had the time to like decorate the room or anything. Because I've been waiting on what furniture, like am I going to bring my furniture from Miami? And now that I know that I'm not, I'm just going to like, you know, go crazy and start rebuilding the room. Deal with insurance. Yeah, insurance sucks. Like insurance sucks. Gotta take a lot of whiskey. I got like 7 or 8 bottles. Some of it, and most of it ain't cheap. If I could find a bottle of Blanton's at this point, it'd make me happy because I've never had Blanton's, and everyone's like, "Oh, Blanton's is the best." And I'm like, "All right, I need to find a bottle of this crap." But apparently, when people do find it, they buy it and then they scalp it at like obscene prices. I'm just not gonna do that. Like I can walk into Costco and I can buy a $50 1.75 of Knob Creek or Woodford Reserve and be completely happy with that. And I have done that. I've still got that 1.75 of Woodford Reserve sitting in there, and I probably won't finish it in my lifetime. But damn, that's a nice whiskey. If you ever find an Eagles Rare, if you're a whiskey drinker, Eagles Rare 10-year, great whiskey. And the one thing I'm always going to be grateful for at Miami is rum. Rum is my preferred spirit. It will always be my preferred spirit. And I could never thank enough Dr. Juan Catala over in the physics department of Miami-Dade College to turn me on to plantation rum. Plantation rum is amazing. Like, there's not a bad rum in their line. Their 40-year is amazing. Their cheapest one, I think, is a 10-year. And, dude, usually don't sit there, pour rum in a glass, throw ice in it, and sip it. Nah, you can do that with plantation. Like, I would never do that with Captain. I would never do that with the garbage in the white bottle, the coconut Malibu, that stuff. I would never do that, like drink it straight. But plantation, you're almost doing yourself a disservice if you don't drink it straight. My husband says Blanton is good, but yeah, exactly. I've never had it. Like everyone's always talked smack about Blanton's, so at some point I do need to try it. But I got a bottle of Booker's small batch that I haven't opened yet. That's supposed to be like really good. I know some of the earlier years are much better. The modern stuff, the last couple of years hasn't been that good, but dude, I found a bottle of Booker's on a shelf at like MSRP. Of course I'm going to buy it because I know I could turn around and sell it for like $300. I was thinking the walls look too plain. Yeah, dude, the walls are way too plain. Like all of the stupid plushy crap that used to be in my bookcases is all in like totes in my garage right now because I don't have the bookcases to line up against the wall. The moment those bookcases go back up, the plushies all go up there too. And I've got even more plushies in my office at work right now. I found a singing cactus at Walmart that sings Feliz Navidad. So that's sitting there. And I think they had a flamingo, a Christmas flamingo that sings 5 o'clock somewhere. And I'm stupid. Like, I'm just stupid and I have no damn self-control because it's like I walk through Walmart, I see crap like that, it just goes right in the cart. It's like, yeah, that's got to come home. $25.99. Okay. Yep, it's a necessity. I have to have it. Like, I'm telling you, if I ever do settle down, if I find a person that like tries to rein me in, that marriage will be over before it ever happens. Like, I just can't imagine like, now, honey, what's the practical purpose of this? Right. Someone's going to find an Uber back to their parents, aren't they? Come visit Southern Indiana. We can go down to the Bourbon Trail if you're allowed to do that. Dude, I can get smashed whenever I want. It's just, one, I'm not going to do it in public. Oh, my God. Like I've told you folks, man, when you become a funeral director, you live in a fishbowl. I've told you folks that story that I was getting absolutely wrecked at a St. Patrick's Day thing, and a guy comes up who's also completely trashed. He wants to buy me beer, and it turned out it was one of the guys I did a service for like 2 weeks prior. Like as soon as he gave me his name, I recognized his grandfather's name. I remembered the service, so hell yeah, I drank his beer and I toasted his granddad. And I never got drunk in public again like that. Anytime I drink to any level of excess, it's always at home. I won't do it. I won't let people see me like that because I know they see me in a certain light as a professional. And that's absolutely the truth now that I'm a campus president. You know, there are things that I'm just not going to do in public. I won't do with employees, and I won't do like at my house during like employee like one thing, I would love to host parties. I love to host parties. I don't really have a lot of options to host parties. When I started having the option to do that at Miami-Dade, I stopped because students couldn't handle that. Like we used to have picnic days. We go to the beach or something, and y'all were getting like sloppy drunk and stupid, and I just stopped going because I can't be a part of that. I can't watch you folks getting like blind drunk at the beach or something. So I have hesitated like ever doing that here. If I do have people over, it's like, you know, one group of people, one family, co-worker, something like that. It would never occur to me now to ever have students in my house for any reason whatsoever. Well, you're my boss, kind of? Yeah, I don't think so. See, when I try and do that, my husband acts like I'm going to get kidnapped. Like, get sloppy stupid down the Bourbon Trail? Can't do that in Texas because you will get kidnapped. I will tell you, folks, my tolerance for beer has gotten worse as I've aged. Like I was just up in Chicago for a leadership summit, and the people I from like the American Board and other places they used to drink with, they've gotten lightweight because like 2 or 3 beers into their night and they're just done. I can be 4 beers into my night and just be like, Uno. Like, you all just don't have any chill whatsoever. Oh, man, it's so sad. But also, I know what beers to drink that I can just basically drink all night that aren't ever going to have a reaction with me. So I'm reaching for the Coronas. I'm reaching for the Bud Lights, the stuff like that. You're probably not going to see me suck down too many Guinness or Heinekens or things like that. I think I treated myself to a Presidente when I was up in the Chicago area. Or anywhere, even for foreign, yeah, especially foreign countries. I'll tell you what, I was at, when we were up there in Illinois, because we were just outside of Chicago in a city called Broadview. I had like this really amazing apple whiskey thing. You wouldn't even know you were drinking whiskey. Like you were drinking some type of like apple cocktail, but it was a bourbon based, almost like an old fashioned. And man, that was such a good drink. When I go back, I got to get another one. Gin, I got some Hendrix. I love gin. I love gins. I've got a bottle of Tanqueray because that's what my old voice teacher used to drink. God rest his soul. When he passed away, I bought a bottle of Tanqueray and toasted him that night. And I got a bottle of Hendrix. I've never had Hendrix. So whenever I buy a spirit now, I always put it in the glass. I try it straight. I try it with ice. I like Hendrix. And I actually don't mind drinking it straight. I can tell you that I am not a fan of a gin martini. I will not do it. I do not like them. Cannot do that. Vodka martini for me all the way. Vodka and olives. I forget what other drinks I was making with gin. I made a couple of cocktails back in those days on Facebook where I'd make a cocktail and post pictures of it and crap. Maybe I might start doing that again once I get like all my bar stuff down here and all my nice glasses and crap. Because all that literally is in Miami still. all this talk of drinking. It's like I got a six pack. When I first got to Texas, I was going through a Tom Thumb. So they got a grocery store here called Tom Thumb. It's basically an upscale Albertsons. For those of you who remember what an Albertsons is, and in the clearance rack was like this bacon IPA local brew crap, and it was like $6, like $1 a can, and I'm just like, all right, bacon IPA. Even if it's trash, it's only $1 a can. I'll try this out. Tanqueray's good. Hendrick's okay. Hendrick seems to be a standard. Like, Hendrick's is the one people go to when they're making gin cocktails. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to overthink this. I can't say that I would reach for gin otherwise, but I'm always open to like, okay, here's a premium gin. Try this, and then I would compare it against the others and be like, okay, I like it. I don't like it. I mean, that's what happened with Plantation, right? Rum was never my thing. I can't tell you that I ever drank rum straight, not even as a dare. Like rum and Coke, okay, that was it. And usually that's always like Malibu, something sweet. And then when I got Plantation, that completely changed the way I drink rums. And I have yet to find another rum that I like as much as Plantation. I found better rums for rum and Cokes. There's a Commander Jones, super cheap. Like dumb cheap, 1.75 for like $14.99. I mean, it is trash rum. But if my choice is that versus Captain Morgan, Commander Jones every day of the week. And when I made hot buttered rum a couple of years ago to give away as Christmas gifts, Commander Jones makes the damn best hot buttered rum. That's an amazing drink if you've never had it. Hot buttered rum is cool stuff. Work on a crappier advent calendar? Yeah. Like, one thing I'm sad about leaving Miami, I have to give up my Funky Buddha membership. I was a member of their Imperial Club. So when I go back there for Christmas, I've got to ask them if I can have my glass from behind the bar, because part of that, part of the prestige of being in the Imperial Club is you get a snifter with your name on it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Time for Professor Finn to take that home, because I'm probably never coming back to Miami. Like, there's nothing in Miami that would entice me to come back, unless they're going to like find a job somewhere that's going to pay me like $400,000 or some crap like that. Like, I'll come back for $500,000. And no school's ever going to pay half. Like, I don't even think that the college president, not the campus, North Campus, the college president at Miami-Dade College might make $500,000 a year. I think Dr. Padron, when he retired, was making somewhere in the fours. That was the rumor. Glad I stopped drinking. I don't know, man. As I've gotten older, I basically drink more than I ever did, or at least I am more exploratory with my drinking. Like, growing up, Cuervo 1800, for like close to 10 years, that's all I drank was Cuervo 1800 straight. That was my drink. And when I was in college, I mean, I could punish the booze. I could punish it. But then you're just like drinking to be stupid. Like, you're a young dumbass doing like stupid college crap. Now that I'm older, like, I actually enjoy the drink. I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole right now as an employee. Like, that's another thing that, like, I'm confused about, because all Florida schools, community college level, they're dry campuses, right? The universities aren't. Private schools aren't. You could, like, if you wanted to host a company party and have, like, light beers or something, like have a caterer bring in, like, a wine selection or, like, 2 or 3 beers, you could get away with doing that. I'm not saying that we are. I'm just saying that we could get away with doing that. And I'm not used to that when people are like, oh, what type of beer should we host? And I'm like, huh? We can host beers? Well, that just made my night. Lee, I love you to death. I refuse to watch them. I did my own little boycott of the Gamer Awards. And the reason why? They didn't nominate Hogwarts Legacy for anything. I don't give a shit about the issues revolving around J.K. Rowling. I don't. But to say that that game was not worth a nomination in any category just because, oh my God, it's, that women's game. That's horseshit. Okay, Hogwarts Legacy should have cleaned house. And I actually went through and I got Starfield because thankfully Starfield is like free for Game Pass. Finished my first playthrough of it and promptly put it the hell down because it's boring as hell. Like, there's nothing there that's going to entice me back, which is heartbreaking because I literally anticipated like Skyrim in space. And nope, didn't get it. Can't see a reason why I'd want to do a new game plus. And yeah, I've got my powers, but I got no money. I got no items. I don't have squat. You gave me some crap ship that, like, the one that I pieced together was much more badass. Nope, not my thing. Cool concept, not my thing. And I haven't picked up Diablo 4 since I think we talked about it. Like, I have not touched Diablo 4. It's like, y'all can figure out how to make the game fun, and then maybe I'll play it again. Because right now, I just don't feel like going back in there and grinding for 7 hours and getting like one extra level up. So nope, did not watch the Gamer Awards. Couldn't even tell you who was nominated, who won, could care less. Because without Hogwarts, I was just like, nope. Not going to play that game. Yeah, I you know me. I'm an ally. But I won't play that game. The game was great. The game was amazing. And to completely snuff it, I mean, if you want to do that, fine. Snuff it out of, like, best game of the year. Fine, eliminate it from that category. But Christ, put it in for sound. Put it in for graphics. Put it in for one damn thing and let it win. Because it's that good. Like, anyone who fell in love with the Potter universe, that is a dream come true game. That finishes their Potter fantasy. Like, I need to pick that game back up because I literally miss just flying around on the stupid broom. Like, folks, if you haven't played Hogwarts Legacy and you are even remotely interested in the Harry Potter universe, the game is nuts. Now, there are some things that could use improvement. They didn't really follow through with the whole class thing where you could like go to class and do stuff. It's kind of go in when you can rather than trying to like manage your life in school while also doing all this other crazy stuff. But absolutely, if you want to be like a badass Hogwarts or a badass wizard or witch in the wizarding world, that's it, man. Like, that's it. That's as close to real as you're going to get unless they come out with something for VR. I saw Lies of P. I watched the playthrough of Lies of P, if I'm going to be honest. I thought about downloading it, but as a general rule, I don't play Souls-like. That's just not my thing. I don't like them. I can probably say, having seen the endings, I would have been, I don't want to say let down, but I would not have gotten like I fulfilled something by finishing the game with the endings that I saw, like any of them. So I'm like, okay, well, whoop-de-doo. It's weird, man. Like, I have the hardest time getting involved in a video game. And for a guy that, like, dude, hardcore gamer. I don't know, man. Maybe as you get older, something does indeed change. Yeah. And again, Bloodborne's a great game. But any of the Soulsborne sort of stuff, I don't know. Just, I guess in my old age, I am not into the whole masochistic attack of having to get perfect timings on stuff. Like, I just don't like it. And maybe it's because, honest to God, when I come home or when I finish work, I don't want to have to think. Like, that is not something that appeals to me. I don't want to get frustrated with it. That's why I stepped away from Diablo. It's like, I'll go back to Diablo 3. I'll run around. I'll mash everything to hell. I'll be stupid, and I'll send, like, my little army of undead golems and imps and crap from my witch doctor just to watch them cause chaos because it's fun. I laugh, and it's a great time. And I can play it, like, Torment 17 and not even care. But I can't go any further than I am, because at that point you have to go into meta builds. Oh, well, you can't run all the minions because that's not effective. It's like, but that's what I play Diablo for. I'm a minion guy. I don't want to have to sit there and micromanage. I just want to let my little buddies run loose, cause pure chaos. That's why one of my favorite games on Earth was Overlord, because I could just like get the little gremlins, send them over to kill stuff, and just watch them be stupid, like put pumpkins on their head and crap. Exactly. If I wanted to be stressed, I just stay at work. And for the first time in a while, I did some Xbox Live stuff with my buddy Nick. He's a financial analyst over in St. Pete. And, I mean, him and I grew up playing Halo co-op. Like, that's our connection. And we linked back up because now Halo Infinite finally has a co-op. And I'll tell you what, it was nice. It was nice to dive into Halo on normal difficulty, playing co-op on Infinite. And I didn't dislike the game when it came out, but I stopped playing it because I don't play Halo to play Halo. I play Halo to be stupid with my people. Like, Nick and I don't play Halo to be competitive. We play Halo to toss plasma grenades at each other at the most inopportune times. We need some Professor Finn gaming streams. That's coming on the horizon, in all honesty. Like, that's coming. My issue is all my gaming stuff is out there in the living room. And in order for me to, like, set that up, larger problem. Okay, larger problem. At my old area, in my old townhome in Miami, I was able to hardwire LANs everywhere. Like, I had, cat cables running up to the second floor so I could I could have like appropriate network flow so that I could stream and go crazy and do whatever. So I'm not just like, something sucking up bandwidth. Nope. All my routers, all of my bridges are optimizing so that everything's getting exactly what they need. And I had two different setups. Like, all my home security stuff was on one thing, and then all my other crap was on something else, and anything that mattered wasn't on wireless. Like, my Xbox was LANed into my cable modem, and anything upstairs in my office where I live stream, where I taught from, that was hardwired into the cable modem downstairs. Here in Texas, I have fiber optic, and the fiber optic box is all the way on the other side of the house. There is no non-trashy way for me to run that cable from there over to here. Like, I can't hide it. And it would just be an obscene length of cable. Like, I'd need like 200 or 300 feet of friggin' network cable. What I'm anticipating doing is after Christmas, get a couple of like decent paychecks under my belt. I'm probably going to hire some guys to come in, rip out all of the cable for the TV, because I've got that damn coax shit in every room, which means I know you've got the conduiting in there. Pull all that shit out, bring it into a Cat 6 cable, so I can plug it right into the fiber optic modem, and now I can hardwire in. So now I know for a fact I can handle doing something like live streaming a video game. That's my big concern right now, because everything right now is wireless. Which is why when it said like, hey, we're not getting enough video at YouTube and we're going to be buffering, and it's like, man, shit. I don't like doing stuff like this on wireless because there's just so much that can go wrong with it. So the goal was, before I came to Texas, if I'm going to be honest, what the Professor Finn thing was going to be, is first Fridays of every month was going to be the live stream. Come in, sit down, talk, do what we're doing tonight, be stupid. Like week 2, maybe week 3, that's the video game night. I come on for 2 hours, I dive in, and the problem is I don't have a large variety of games I like to play. Like, I just don't. So that means I'd be going into Diablo 3. I don't even know if Dead Space 3, like Xbox 360 Dead Space 3, even has co-op available anymore, because I've always wanted to play through that on co-op. Because it was built for co-op. I try to do maybe something like that. Division 2. I'm a Division 2 prick. Like, that was the game. That is the game I have played the most, probably, of any video game I have ever owned. Like, I have played that without fail on a consistent basis. I'm still not one of these, like, uber gurus, almost as good as a damn aimbot. But that's just a game that I have enjoyed for a very long time. And then it's just like Halo. And I don't play competitive Halo. I just dive in and I play, the campaign. So it's not like I'm going to get on there and do, maybe I do firefight, right? We'll get like 4 or 5 people and do like Halo firefight. But I don't do competitive. Competitive's not my thing because I inevitably get frustrated with it. I do not have the 12 to 15 hours to build up my twitch reflexes where I can even remotely pass for someone having fun on that. So it has to be collaborative. And then it's fun. Phasmo, that would be funny. What? Okay, now I got to look up what Phasmo is. Like, what the hell is Phasmo? You know what? I'm gonna kill the email. It's like, gee, why am I getting throttled? Probably because I left my damn email client open. I know damn well that's not like eating enough of my bandwidth to like cause problems. Phasmo, what the hell is Phasmo? Phasmophobia? I know what Phasmophobia is. I don't know the nickname. I don't play it. But yeah, that's the paranormal thing. 4-player online. Yeah. I've watched playthroughs of that. I've watched playthroughs of that. I don't know how I take that, if I'm going to be honest. Like, maybe I take it well. Maybe I don't. As I ram my damn leg into my desk. I'll tell you what I would kill for. I would absolutely kill for Ghostbusters the video game co-op again. Like, if they made Ghostbusters the video game with a 4-player co-op, not this new one that's like, someone has to play the damn ghost. I just mean go in there and be stupid with the proton pack, because I did play Spirits Unleashed. Maybe I would get back into that, but it was just like, oh my god, this is so frustrating. And part of the reason is because the bots suck. Like, the bots absolutely suck. Portal's great. Dude, Portal is so much fun. Like, I had so much fun playing Portal. And then Portal 2, like, Portal was a great game. It is a great game, because people still play it. I mean, damn near anything Valve actually produces is top-notch. Like, Valve makes great games. I can't say I ever got into Half-Life. Like, Half-Life was like a definitive game of its generation. And I had fun playing it. Absolutely. Just was not my thing. Like, I did not get into Counter-Strike or any of that crap. What I wish they would remake is, oh god, what the hell was the name of that game? I can't remember who penned the story, Wes Craven or someone, but it was based in Ireland. And it was just such a cool game on PC way back in the day. It's like it deserves a remake. Clive Barker's Undying, that's what it was. Clive Barker's Undying. If they remade that in like Unreal Engine 5, take my money. Take my money right now. All you modern gamers would be like, oh my god, this sucks. This sucks awful. Like, the graphics are crap. The textures are crap. Everything about it is crap. But back in the 90s, that was such a cool game. Fairly open world. Story was amazing because, of course, it is. It was written by Clive Barker. And you were always waiting for the sequel. It's like, okay, this ends basically on a cliffhanger. Let's get the next one, because you can get pretty OP badass in it. And I think that's what people seem to forget. Some of us don't want a challenge. Like in Diablo 4. I don't want a challenge. At some point, I just want to be so damn OP that I can walk in and just murder anything. That's the goal of this game. And if I have to continue getting meta, if I continue have to like, well, you have to change your playstyle. Dude, I don't want to change my playstyle. Okay? Again, I like minions. I like watching my minions do the job for me. Am I ever going to beat like a level 100 Uber Lilith? No. But I'm also never going to try to beat a level 100 Uber Lilith. But at level 60, I should be able to literally kill anything with my minions, but oh yeah, you don't let me have minions. Everything, I mean, dude, it's just such trash. It's like they forgot they made Diablo 3 and what made Diablo 3 fun when they made Diablo 4. And I'm not the only one that thinks that way, so I don't feel bad. Professor Dowers, it was a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your week. If I don't see you before the holidays, a very happy holiday season to you and to all the rest of you and those who celebrate. Happy second night of Hanukkah. How do I feel about the Silent Hill 2 remake? Oh, man. I haven't played it. And I want to play that, and I want to play the Alan Wake 2. So I watched the Alan Wake 2 because I am now paranoid of buying AAA titles that just about... I can't say everyone I've bought, but just about every AAA title I've invested money in has sucked eggs out the gates. Dead Space was the one that wasn't. Dead Space remake is the shit. Loved it. And I got to replay the damn thing and start knocking out some achievements. Loved the new Dead Space. Silent Hill 2 is kind of like the Final Fantasy 7 for me. Like Silent Hill 1 and 2 were like the games I played back in the day. And I'm going to be interested to see, because I haven't even watched playthroughs of it. So I assume now it's released. I think I've seen it pop up. But I'm not going to mind it. I still haven't played any of the Resident Evils. Haven't played the one in the swamps in Louisiana. Didn't play any of the modern ones. And did not play any of the remakes. And truth be told, I'm really just not interested in them. Like, I enjoyed them back on the PlayStation. I enjoyed playing the first one, the second one. I enjoyed them immensely. Now it's just not my thing. Like, survival horror is not my thing. I like going into a game, building up my character, becoming stupid overpowered, and then just one-tapping anything I can in sight. You know, I never got into Sims. I never got into the Sims. Which is odd because I like sim-like games. I love those type of games where you get to play like basically God on your phone or something. Alan Wake 2 is cool. Like, I kind of regret the fact that I watched the playthrough before I played it. Part of me is glad that I did because I'm a little disappointed where they took the story. Like, I did not anticipate some of whatever, but I really like where they're going to go with it after. Like, at the very end, I was like, okay, all right, this deserves its own playthrough now. This looks cool. Because it took me forever to play Alan Wake's American Nightmare. And I loved the original Alan Wake game. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. I think they made a remake of Alan Wake in like high-res graphics. I played that as well. That's when I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just play friggin' Alan Wake's American Nightmare. And I really enjoyed it. Like, it started off a bit dry, but it got better as time progressed. I was just worried they were going to screw up Alan Wake. Like, and I think that's legit. Because, man, AAA video game companies, they just like to take your cash and screw you or try to make anything a microtransaction they possibly can. It's like, there's dumb crap I will buy. All honesty, there is dumb crap that I will buy. And what always gets me on any game that I play, Santa gear. So in Division 2, you came out with the Santa hat, yep, I'm going to pay the $2 for it. There's a Santa unit, you betcha, it's coming off. Yep, got to buy it. I will buy dumb crap like that. I'll buy basically nothing else. I did not like the remake of Final Fantasy VII. You will never... I bought it. I paid the first 15 minutes of it, and I put that son of a bitch down, and I deleted it from my Xbox. And I will never play it again. I was so pissed that they turned it into like basically a Soulsborne. And I'm like, nope, That's not what I want here. I don't care about this sort of game. This is bullshit. So, nope. I'll watch the playthroughs. I'll see where they go with the story, but I will not play the remake of Final Fantasy VII. I like the concept of what they did. I like the concept, but I do not and will not play a Soulsborne game. That's just not my thing. Because inherently, a Soulsborne game is you never get so OP that you can one-tap anything, and there's a legitimate threat at all points. And sitting there, having to, like, coordinate my stuff. No, this is an RPG, dude. Okay? I played the original. I want a turn-based RPG. You want to update the graphics. You want to update everything. You want it so you can talk to your screen and, Sephiroth farts chocolate M&Ms. Great. I don't care. But the moment you take it so far into, like, a different genre, in other words, like an action RPG Soulsborne type, not interested. Absolutely not interested in games like that. Because again, I don't want to have to sit there with patience and learn mechanics. I don't want to do that. Which is why also I don't play some of like the really intense RPGs, because I don't have the time to invest in all the little bullshit. Like if I have to sit there and I have to upgrade my crafting skill and my cooking skill so that like, no, too much effort. Don't want it. Not my thing. Oddly enough, one of the games that I've spent the most time with is Vampire Survivors because it's brainless. It is absolutely brainless. It is overpowered murder, and I'm good with that. Yeah, so if you like Soulsborne type games, then Final Fantasy VII is a dream come true. It's everything you could want. The characters we all love, like that game was a defining game for me. Like you did not see main characters die in video games. You just didn't. And that first time you saw Eris die, you were like, dude, the hell just happened? I must have screwed, and I remember thinking it. I must have screwed something up because there's no way she dies like this. And I even reset the PlayStation and dumped in another save. It happened again. I couldn't believe it. I thought I had done something so wrong, so I started an entirely new playthrough and didn't let her out of my sight, thinking that, okay, maybe there's like a loyalty thing going on here. So I have to like get the best everything. Take her on the date in whatever the game city was, and make sure that like you never have her out of the party. Maybe it's like some mechanic like that. Nope. Got all the way back there, she dies again. I was pissed. And when I finally beat Sephiroth at the end of that game, the level of satisfaction I got has not been like surmounted since. It was just an amazing feeling to kick his ass. And I did not ever get into Kingdom Hearts. Partly because the story was just all over the place. Like, I legit had to sit down and watch a video on YouTube, like, about the Kingdom Hearts story. And it was pretty cool, like, when it's all tied together. But it's just like, oh my god, dude, if I needed something that cerebral, here's a hint. I never need anything that cerebral. I just don't. And that's probably why I'm not a tremendous fan of Quentin Tarantino movies, because I don't need to think that much. I do not get joy from like trying to figure out all the inferences. Pulp Fiction bored me to tears. Inglourious Bastards was meh. The Django Unchained was one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I liked Inglourious Bastards. Like I'll go back and rewatch it again just so I can watch Christoph Waltz. Like, oh my god. Yeah, I played Crisis Core. Yeah, that was crazy. But by then, I'd already gone through like the death of Aerith, so it was like the first one's always the worst, man, because then you know what's coming. It's just like when I watch anime now. It's like I'm waiting for someone to die because I know that's one of the plot points in every damn anime. Someone has to die because it's a cheap way for you to try to get emotionally invested. How you do that, that can be pretty cool. Yeah, and see, I'm not going to play for 17 years and still be confused. That's just not my thing. Man, we still got 4 people on here. I mean, yeah, you and I are like dominating the video game conversation here, but I just looked over and I'm like, dude, we still got 4 people? Shit, cool. All right, folks. You know what? It is 8:30. Do you know if you're able to do Fridays with Finn often? Yeah, I do them at least once a month now. Like last couple of months, I didn't have just getting settled, buying the new home, getting crap in here, and then a lot has been going on at work. Like a lot of stuff has been going on at work. So there were some Fridays I simply couldn't make it. Like if I did do Fridays with Finn this week, I can't do it any other time in December. So when I realized, oh hell, I better get it on the calendar and post it on LinkedIn and Facebook, bam. But realistically, I would try to do Fridays with Finn like the first, at the latest, second week of Friday of every month. So what I'll probably end up doing is diving in to OBS Studio here and creating like the next 4 or 5 months worth of Fridays with Fins so that they're already on the channel. If you're subscribed, it pops right up. This is like the first one I didn't get a lot of people asking me questions about subject matter or like industry stuff. In fact, I don't think I got one subject matter question all night. So I was like, dude, that's different. And the last one of these, I forgot to post it as an event on Facebook and LinkedIn. So I know some people find it that way. I mean, I could literally do a Friday with Finn every Friday. Like that's the craziness of having only one job. Is like, dude, I could actually like, I could literally dedicate time to being a streamer. My problem is, I don't have that type of time to dedicate to being a streamer, and I don't have the money to like hire a team to find content I need to talk about. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't want this to become a job. I don't want this to like drain on. Take care, kiddo. Good to hear from you. Glad to see things are well. And yeah, I'll see you next one of these. And folks, if there's nothing else, I'm like already 30 minutes over time. So I think I might actually call it a night myself. Thank God I fed the dogs before I got over there. They'd be pissed at me. So thank y'all for hanging out. Again, if you haven't, like, share, subscribe. That way you know when the next one of these is going to pop up. And bring a friend next time. Peace out, y'all. Have a good night. Take care, Tiffany. Bless your heart. Have a good holiday, and hopefully our paths cross. Like, I hope that you're able to. I hope that you're able to like start coming to the conventions. I saw. I think you sent me something on LinkedIn. I looked over at my phone. Yeah, if you found a good job in Minnesota, Minnesota's a great place to funeral direct. Great place. If you need to make connections up there, University of Minnesota has a funeral service program. Dr. Michael Lou Brandt is the head of that program. Tremendous researcher. Great guy. Probably the most connected guy in that state that I know of. You can even reach out to him and say, hey, my professor at Miami-Dade was Joe Finicaro, and I'm moving to the state of Minnesota. Here's where I'm working. I'm just looking to network and meet people. Is there any organizations you can recommend, etc.? And I'm sure Michael will absolutely hook you up. He's a nice guy. Organist. He's a musician. So, again, you're in good hands in that state. If especially if you wanted to teach. I mean, he's got his own program up there. All right, folks, take care. I'm going to grab some dinner. We'll see you on the next one of these.